after the episode of the battle against Amalek, uh, came the time for the people to cross over to Canaan. But before that, God wanted them to have an idea of the place they were going into, which is quite reasonable. It's exactly what we do. You don't just jump into a new country without preparing your travel, your trip. And so God asked Moses to send 12 people as scouts to Canaan to find out about the country. So those people that were chosen were all leaders. And among there was Caleb and Joshua, but there were also 10 others. So they went, and before they went, they had an agenda that was detailed. They were told where to pass through, where to go, the way forward, and so on. And then there were questions that were given to them. Go up through the Negev, see what the land is like, whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? How is the soil? Is it fertile or rich or poor? Are there trees in it or not? So also they were told to bring back exhibits, proofs of what they were talking about, and Moses suggested fruits because it was the time of the harvest. The vines were producing. So they went, and their trip lasted 40 days. There were 12 of them, and they went round, took their notes, and then came back with the grapes and their report. And the report they presented was, if you read it in at Numbers 13, it was a balanced and short report. And that report said that yes, the land is very fertile, it is good, just like expected. But the people were a formidable enemy, and they were tall and huge. And so that was a factual report. The report didn't contain any biased or subjective points. But what happened is, after giving their report and showing the grapes, probably shared among the people, the 10 of them that were frightened by what they saw went on to add their own viewpoint and said, yeah, that land is good, but the people are a formidable enemy and there is no way we can win. If there is a battle, we're going to be crushed. That's evident. These people are just giants. There is no way you can make it. And what they were doing, in effect, is to tell the truth from the human point of view. They just added their own feeling to the report. But when they did that, Caleb and Joshua protested and said, no, we disagree. Yes, the land is fertile, and yes, these people are powerful, but with the help of God, we can make it. And what they did was, instead of presenting the human viewpoint, they presented what you would call today Christian viewpoint, that puts God into the equation. And that's exactly the same story we see over and over, especially in the Old Testament, where you had battles with a huge enemy, like the Battle of Gideon and others, where you see that the conclusion of the Bible was, those that are with us, that is the army of angels and the presence of God, are more than those that are with them, the enemy. So they added their own viewpoints, and the immediate result was that they sent panic into the community, because the people were already bearing grudge against Moses. We saw that time and again they had expressed their disagreement with Moses, saying, well, you told us that we were going to a land of milk and honey. Instead, we have been in this wilderness And yes, we had manna, but this manna is boring. We eat everything every day, the same thing. What about all the food that we had in Egypt? They forgot that they were slaves there and dying because they thought at that time, oh, what we left behind was better. And this is a very human, way of thinking. And so they started lamenting. They cried, they mourned. Then from there, they started accusing Moses and Aaron. Again, it was not the first time, not the second. They did it when they were thirsty. They did it when they were hungry. Every time they disagree, even on Sinai, when they were waiting for Moses to come down from the mountain, and he was late, according to their own agenda, every time they were saying the same thing. Let's return to Egypt. And okay, since Aaron and Moses don't want to take us back, we're going to choose somebody else. And it came to the crunch when they said that they were going to stone, Moses and Aaron. And then God appeared. The cloud of glory descended, and everybody stood still. And God talked to Moses and said, I'm going to wipe them out, because I cannot function with such a people. And Moses and Aaron started interceding again, crying and pleading. Caleb and Joshua were along with them, tearing their clothes out as a sign of mourning, telling people, shut up, this what you are doing is no good. And then eventually God said, all right, if these people don't want to go into Canaan, they will not go into Canaan. I'm going to send you back into the desert, and you will go round and round. And God said, that exploration was 40 days. Now you will have 40 years of wilderness until all that generation is dead. The only ones that will survive are Caleb and Joshua, because they did the right thing and their heart was on my side. And then the 10 others that had lamented and cried and added bad stuff to their report died immediately. They were killed on the spot. And they died. And so what we see from there is, if you are a leader, you have a terrible and important, very heavy responsibility. Because whatever you say, the community will receive as the truth. It was only Caleb and Joshua that supported God's plan for them to cross over. And they were rewarded. And eventually, Joshua went to Canaan, even in his old age. Whereas the others all died. And they said they didn't want to see Canaan, and it turned into a prophecy, self-fulfilled prophecy, because they didn't see Canaan. They never went. But they never went to Egypt too. They were just stuck in between. And that's the lot of many Christians nowadays. They want to return in a way, but at the same time they want to remain with God, but they don't want to obey God. And that's the end of the matter. So let us copy the behavior of Caleb and Joshua. Let us be intercessors like Moses and have the courage to trust God. Bless you.